What's up, everybody? Welcome to Roots to Grooves.
Hello, everybody. I'm Jay.
I'm Jesse. That makes this Roots to Grooves.
Yes, here on the weekly, talking about a new artist every week, exploring their music.
Love it.
Their history, their creative approaches.
Their philosophy and their journey.
Yeah.
Trying to hit it all.
It's good. It's been inspiring. This is, I believe, our 22nd episode.
Yeah.
I feel like.
So we're racking them up. We're in double digits now.
Yeah, and it's been a good journey, to discuss artists I've already heard about and new ones that you've brought to me. And
yeah. We're here to explore and to learn what we can.
Yeah, and this week we're covering someone from your neck of the woods, right?
Yeah. It was my pick of the week.
From San Diego. Wavves.
Wavves. That's Wavves.
Yes.
And real quick. Okay, so let me just say we'll talk about the music first.
Okay.
It's kind of grungy, beachy. It's like Beach Boys meets the Ramones.
Yeah.
And they got in a car crash, and it's a lot. He started with some lo-fi stuff.
Yeah.
Kind of moved to some more alternative stuff. It's surf rock, alternative, grunge, lo-fi.
Yeah.
And he's through his discography, you can see kind of their growth.
Yeah.
And them moving towards kind of trying some new things and stuff, which is really cool to see in an artist. It's mostly headed by the gentleman, the front man, Nathan Williams.
Yeah.
And he's kind of been he's the heart and soul of the band. And there's been other drummers and different members of the band kind of throughout the length, but it's kind of mostly him.
Yeah.
So, and from San Diego, California, that's where I'm from. So exactly like you said, it's cool to see, cool music coming out of there.
Yeah. And I was sort of getting, I call it like pop punk vibes from it.
Totally. Yeah. And I didn't really see that. Yeah. I wouldn't have said that myself, but then when I saw other people saying that, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. And, some of the tracks throughout some of the albums reminded me of that kind of 90s era of like indie grunge rock.
For sure.
Like Nirvana, Green Day, Everclear.
Yeah.
I know I've mentioned Everclear a lot to you before.
Yeah, that keeps coming up.
Yeah. So,
I think he listened to, Blink-182 even.
Yeah. I haven't really heard much of their stuff other than their like big hits, but like,
right.
Yeah. Like that sort of era.
It's more of the same good stuff, pretty much.
Yeah.
So, I think, especially in, Afraid of Heights, the album in 2010 or so, and we'll get into that later, but he's definitely influenced by Nirvana.
Yeah.
I put some other influence like Dinosaur Jr., Oasis, REM, Nirvana, like I said, and Weezer.
Yeah.
And they're utilizing some of these songwriting techniques of these other, bands that have gone huge, and also some of the aesthetic of the sounds of the guitars, for example.
Yeah.
Trying to go for those same kind of tones.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, super good stuff. What's your initial reaction to this band in general?
So I listened to the most recent album first. Came out in 2017. You're Welcome. So that was my first introduction to their sound. Hadn't heard of them before. I think I've seen the name around, but and I loved it. It was like driving, kind of good, catchy rock music.
Totally.
It's got some interesting sort of digital glitches in the arrangements of some of the ways they were doing it.
Some little production
tricks. Which is interesting to me because I was like, even when I first heard it, I was like, I bet they haven't done that before in other albums. So when I listened back to their older stuff, that kind of approach seemed a bit new for them, I think. And it's not a lot. It's just like a few ways, like the sound cuts in and out and a few songs, or like some weird like arrangement type of thing they've done where it sort of like glitches a little bit. I liked it. Definitely reminded me of like Strokes or something like that.
I was trying to pull up their Spotify so I can get another reference there. But yeah, exactly. That's interesting that you listened to their last album first, because basically he had two albums that came out in like 2008, 2009, and they're really lo-fi. Really bedroom, beachy. And it's interesting stuff. It's really cool. And he built a whole kind of world, and this, there was the whole like kind of blogs going on, and with lo-fi and kind of grunge and that bedroom thing, and he was kind of in that scene. As far, I don't even know too much about how to explain it, but there was like a blog scene with, you know, different aesthetics from these bands, and he was kind of right at the forefront of it, kind of charging the way with this kind of, you know, newish sound, or at least whatever niche he's kind of penetrating there. I discovered Wavves from Afraid of Heights. Their, what is that, the third album?
1, 2, 3,
four. Fourth one, which is like 2010, 2011. I gotta pull it up.
2013,
My data is not working to what I need it to be at in order to create this content.
We still have connection issues here.
I'm recording.
Internet's getting hooked up tomorrow.
Yeah, guys, we don't have
studio, so
that's beautiful. That's music to my ears.
Yeah,
we don't have Wi-Fi right now, guys.
Yeah,
so bear with me. But yeah, Afraid of Heights, and that one's, you can definitely hear a lot of influences from specifically Nevermind by Nirvana.
Yeah. So, like I actually specifically wrote, there's a song called Dog from that album.
Nice.
Totally remind me of like Polly or something like that.
Yeah.
The guitar
100%
stuff. Yeah.
Which in that album they went a little more alternative, and but that was the song we played at the very beginning, "Sail to the Sun." That's the first the first song off that record, and I mean that just charges me up. I love it. It's so energetic.
Yeah.
And I mean, just pure energy to me, and it's got that kind of beachy vibe. That whole record doesn't have so much of a beachy vibe as some of the other things he's done.
Yeah.
But so energetic and fun. Just, it's like a rock band, and I love the chord progressions. And I don't know what it is. It's simple stuff when you listen to it, but it has a lot of really cool energy for me. Yeah. And this guy's always like, woo, woo, you know, doing cool little funny beachy kind of vocals like that. So
yeah,
I don't know. It really turns me on, and that's he had a song on the radio called "Demon to Lean On." And that was the first song I ever heard, and that's also off that record.
Got it. Okay.
So,
yeah.
I mean, that's a little bit of the rundown. So we went a little more alternative. Then the later albums kind of went a little bit more kind of tight and pristine.
Yeah.
And like a little more post-punk.
Yeah.
So pretty interesting.
Yeah, because I will say, like, the first two albums, first one called Waves, next one, Wavves.
With 3 Vs, that second one.
Yeah.
Right.
2008, 2009, they came out. After listening, I sort of went backwards again on this episode, later stuff to the earlier stuff. And unfortunately, I will say that those first 2 albums are a little bit unlistenable to me. Just purely not because of the songs themselves, but the production quality.
Right.
Like, it's really... There's like no low end in there. It's all like high end. I wrote it sounded like it's recorded in a tunnel.
Yeah.
Or some punk rock club, someone on their phone at the back of the building kind of thing.
For sure.
And I was like, and interestingly, he actually said that specifically. He called it a tinny trash can sound.
Yeah. I mean, that describes it aptly.
Yeah. So I will say, like, I don't know. Yeah, it's hard for me to listen just because of the frequencies going on.
No,
in there
100%. That's one of the things that's interesting about this band, this group, and Nathan Williams in Wavves, is how dynamic it is. Because some of it charges me up, like that "Sail to the Sun" song. Love it. It's like great, you know, perfect for whatever that provides. But then some of it is almost unlistenable. Yeah. Like those first couple albums, very lo-fi, in your face. Bedroom, you know, I mean, and I think he was, you know, it's all DIY. He made it on a laptop. I think he was using GarageBand,
right? And
he didn't know how to use GarageBand.
Yeah,
you know,
he just did it.
Yeah, so he's just figuring this stuff out and completely DIY.
Because like there is one track from the first album called "Lover," and being a drummer, like there's some really great drums in there, kind of thing. It's like at the beginning and then it breaks.
Yeah.
But when the rest of the instruments come in, it's just like, oh, I don't know. It's just like, yeah.
No,
I'm sorry, Nathan, but yeah, it's
100%. But like I was saying, though, that's what's interesting. There's some songs that are like super good, and then there's some stuff that's like I don't really even. Yeah. I don't care about it too much. It's not that good.
Yeah.
Even I'll go so far to say, like, I don't want to. Never trying to be negative here on Roots to Grooves. No. But everyone has their personal preferences, and music is incredibly subjective and personal.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we definitely respect that here. So if you don't like some of this stuff, I respect that.
Yeah. Well, no, literally though, for me though, it wasn't even the songs. Like I actually liked some tracks that are on there. It was just the way it was produced was like too jarring for me, kind of thing. So that was all. But I mean, I totally understand. Like, you know, I think he recorded it like in his parents' shed or something.
Yeah, just living at his parents' house.
Yeah.
And I mean, before we get ahead of ourselves,
Yeah,
let's back up a little bit and like, who is this guy?
Yeah.
Because he's done some cool stuff. And just a real quick recap, you know, he's worked with Big Boy. He's worked with Giza, I think, is part of the Wu-Tang Clan.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so he's doing some cool stuff. And then let's take it all the way back to, you know, as far back as we know about his history. Because he was born in Los Angeles, as far as I am concerned. And then at some point he moved to Virginia with his family, I believe. And then when he was 14 years old, he moved back. So I'm just trying to, this is just my notes of some rough notes about his life, I guess. He started some bands in middle school, as far back as middle school, you know, trying to impress girls with a couple people, with his friends, you know, just classic. He's a classic skater guy. Right. And I haven't even mentioned, a lot of his lyrics are kind of dark and depressing and insecure, and, you know, say what you want about that. Some people don't like to listen to that, but he's an interesting guy. And another little recap. I mean, he's been involved with drugs, and, you know, living in a squatter's house, you know, and we'll kind of get into this, but he's a kind of a wild guy, and you know, he's a punk. Yeah. And he doesn't care about rules, and he's just trying to find his place in life.
Yeah, for sure.
And so I'm going kind of back and forth, but, you know, he's playing middle school parties. He was homeschooled. You know, I don't know exactly the years, but I think through middle school he was homeschooled. And I was too in San Diego. So that's a little little fun fact. He was in high school. He dropped out of high school. And again, I don't have all the specific dates, but he had a scholarship to play soccer at one point. So yes, but he's getting wild. You know, he's a skater, punk.
I do know, like, he said he grew up in a kind of religious household, and was kind of forced to go to church. So it's interesting you said he was homeschooled for some of that, because I think he also went to like Christian schools and
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, and like youth club stuff that is associated with that kind of stuff. And he said he just didn't just didn't drive them at all, like the whole religious. Yeah,
he just didn't see that.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of, he rebelled against that, and and, you know, so he's kind of had a turbulent time with the drink and the drugs. Said he was addicted to heroin from like 17 to the age of 20. Yeah, lived, like you said, in a squatter's house of about 15 other people, where they were just stealing shit and doing heroin. Like, crazy.
I mean, while we're on that, we might as well talk about it. I mean, there was no furniture in this house.
Right. Yeah.
I think the only piece of furniture in the house was a wheelchair that he stole from, what was it? It was, I don't know, Walmart or something like that. Yeah. And, you know, so you could just paint a picture in your mind.
Have you ever seen Trainspotting, the movie? You should watch that. It reminds me of...
I don't think so.
That. Yeah, it's like this old British movie. Ewan McGregor's in it. And
I love him.
Yeah, it's all based in Scotland, about these guys that are all addicted to heroin and their story kind of thing. Yeah.
I hear heroin's pretty addictive.
Yes, I've heard that. Yeah. Not something I would ever want to go near, but But yeah, opioids opium used to be a big thing, you know.
For sure. Like, I mean, there's kind of an opioid crisis up here in Washington.
Well, yeah, with that now, but even back in the day, like smoking opium, like in the Victorian era. Like opium dens and stuff like that. Really? Yeah, you'd go to. And
people love drugs. What are you going to do?
Exactly. Yeah.
So, I mean, we're just trying to paint a picture of this guy. You know, he's grown up in a religious household, like you said, and I didn't know. You know, he's living in his parents' house. He has a scholarship to play soccer. He gets kicked out of the house. You know, so he's just a kid. You know, he's trying to figure out what he's about and what his place is in life. And I think that's one thing that I relate to, because, you know, I think a lot of people relate to that. Like, what am I doing here? You know, insecurities and all the stuff that goes through your head, especially as a teenager, trying to find your way in life. So he had some tough times. I think he was paying rent at some point by stealing jeans from Nordstrom. I was reading, and I guess he would go in with just a baggy pair of pants and then get a couple jeans
and wear them
and go in the dressing room, put them on, and then put his baggy jeans over him and walk right on out.
That must have been the days before they had those little plastic things with the alarm on it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, yeah.
Or you just run through it.
Exactly. Yeah, I don't know exactly. I think his parents found out at some point because they were snooping in his room or something and found the tags on the jeans, and they're like, you're not buying these.
Yeah.
And they took him to the Nordstrom's and be like, here's the jeans.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Here's my son, and you can accuse him and you can take him in if you want. Like, call the cops.
Yeah.
Like, this is what he deserves.
Yeah.
You know, and whatever. Say what you want about it. I don't think anything happened. I don't think they pressed charges.
Yeah.
They didn't care.
Yeah, he said he never really got caught. In one interview I saw during his period of like heroin and stealing to buy heroin, he said he never got caught for any of the stealing stuff.
Right.
He says also kind of feels a bit of guilt about that now. Like he will be caught like now, even though he's not doing that anymore.
I bet.
Yeah.
I bet.
Yeah.
It's yeah. So I don't know. Yeah, he's just figuring out his way of life, and music is kind of the one thing that he's been drawn to.
Yeah.
And that kind of keeps him sane and allows him to express himself.
Yeah.
And in a really cool way.
Absolutely.
So I mean, yeah, I think, where are we? I mean, yeah, the jeans, the wheelchair. I think eventually there was there was a lot of drugs going on in his circle of friends and stuff in San Diego.
Yeah.
And so at some point it was like too much, and he realized he had to get out of it. So he went up to Portland. I think that was in 2006, and he worked. I think he moved there with his buddy, one of his buddies from San Diego, and I guess he worked at American Apparel for a little while. You know, get out of the scene, try to get a little more healthy. And I mean, it's very surprising hearing some of the stories and the general vibes of this guy, how he has made it out okay, and he's still alive.
Yeah.
Because, you know, being addicted to drugs and moving from city to city, he's a crazy guy. You know, he's wild. He's got a lot of wild energy and everything. So, you know, anyway, he moved back to San Diego, I guess. Got a job at Music Trader. He quit because he didn't like it. Doesn't like any of that corporate retail job kind of thing. And then he moved back in with his parents, I think in 2008. And so this is when he started messing around with music and kind of starting to build those first two albums.
Got it. Yeah.
I think he had an 80s Tascam 8-track.
Okay.
And I don't really know precisely what that means. Like, I know what the 8-track is, but Tascam,
It's just a model. But yeah.
just the model name.
Yeah, they used to make high-end audio gear, but then also like the consumer 8-track type things as well.
Nice. So I guess he had that, and then he had, like we were saying before, he had GarageBand and he had a laptop, and he wasn't like a music producer. He didn't go to audio engineering school, but he was just DIY, figuring out how to make some beats and how to make some sounds and express himself, which is cool.
Yeah.
I think he was also around that time, he had a blog called Ghost Ramp.
Okay.
Where he was reviewing like hip hop artists or rappers.
Oh, really?
Because he's influenced by some of that stuff as well. And somewhere along the way, I found out that one of his big influences that he's talked about multiple times is Lady Gaga.
Really?
Yeah. And I think he was playing a show somewhere, Lollapalooza or something in Chicago or something like that. And Lady Gaga was also playing there. And the interviewer asked him, you know, is there anybody you want to meet? And he said Lady Gaga.
Yeah.
And so...
Did they meet?
I don't think they met.
Yeah.
No. Wavves isn't big enough to garner that kind of interaction.
Who's this band you want me to meet?
Yeah.
I'm Lady Gaga. Do you know who I am?
Right.
No.
But I love seeing how like this grungy, wild punk guy, aspires to kind of at least want to interact with, and they respect somebody like Lady Gaga, has some real talent, obviously, and who's made it basically to the top of the top in the music industry. So just it's cool dynamics to see. So
definitely.
Let's see. Yeah, Ghost Ramp. Boom. So,
which is a name we can talk about that later that he's kept, and we can talk about how he's using that in this day and age a little bit later on, maybe, because I think it's part of a couple of stories.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah,
that sounds good. And I guess we could just kind of wrap up these first two albums. In 2008, he's working like GarageBand with his 8-track, and he makes this first album and puts it out. I can't remember if he put him out himself. He might have put him out himself, or...
So there was a couple of labels. The first one came out on a label called Woodist. I want to say, or Woodsist. Hard to say. The second album came out on Die Still. These are really hard bad names, label names to think. So I don't think they're his own. Their Woodists was started in 2006 by Jeremy Earl.
Very cool.
Yeah. Who else have they had put out? I don't really recognize any of the other artists they've put out, but they've put out a lot of different things. DuckTales is on there. Kevin Morby. Yeah. I don't know any of these names. So
Yeah.
little indie label.
Right. I mean, that's some underground kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's still out there, but yeah, you can start to see. And I don't make a lot of notes of all this, but he's worked with a lot of people and collaborated with a lot of other kind of indie bands and stuff like that. Yeah. So he made these first two albums. I'm just kind of lumping this all together.
Yeah,
because they're kind of
same sounding as well. Kind of.
Right, and it all kind of is a big package, and he was just discovering how to make music and express himself, like I said.
Yeah.
And I guess he started going on tour with these albums too, and I was interested to see exactly how he got to that point, but you know, if it was from how he got to go from just making music in his parents' house to going on tour and stuff.
Yeah.
And I don't know exactly how he got that connection, but he was touring and stuff, doing small gigs.
It was just him and the original drummer, Ryan Ulish.
Yeah, so when he originally started playing, it was just
two
Nathan Williams on guitar and vocals, and then a drummer to back up.
Yeah, so like I saw a little clip of them playing, definitely reminded me of like Black Keys or something like that. Like
Yeah,
the way they were performing. Yeah.
Which is funny. I think at some point they got in a feud with Black Keys.
Did they?
About something. I can't remember what it was. There's a couple stories about these guys get into trouble, and I don't know. They're not afraid to express themselves, and they get a lot of backlash as well.
Yeah.
For being like their image is being punks and being kind of lazy. And like they don't care about anything.
I mean, it kind of goes hand in hand with that type of music, right? Like, what if they were doing this type of music and then they were just like well-behaved young lads wearing suits?
Yeah, would you believe it? What would that mean?
There's got to be some kind of rebel or darkness in you to create this type of music in the first place.
Yeah, totally. And I think they bring that to the table, which is cool.
Yeah.
So I mean, this is like 2008. It's lo-fi rock. And that kind of scene with the blogs and the lo-fi rock was kind of, hitting a peak.
Yeah.
And so he's right in the middle of it, and in a lot of ways, he was kind of like the front man for that kind of scene.
Yeah.
Because of his energy and because of the music he was making and everything.
Yeah.
So then I guess we can fast forward to King of the Beach.
Yeah.
And maybe we can introduce this next segment of the podcast by playing one of those songs.
Absolutely. Let me see. I have quite a few here. Did you add any from this album, or was it just all me?
I think I added. No, I don't know if I added any. King of the Beach is good, or the second song from that album is good.
Super Soaker, yeah.
Yeah, Super Soaker is cool too.
Let's play Super Soaker by Wavves. Super Soaker.
Super good. You can hear how easily he can, I mean, not easily, but how much energy he can pack into these songs.
Oh yeah,
And it's fantastic.
absolutely.
I mean, there's some synths going and stuff. And so that was off of, I think that's the second song off King of the Beach. Came out August 3rd, 2010.
Yeah.
And so this album, King of the Beach, marked, kind of a new era in the band's discography.
Yeah, pivotal for many reasons, actually. There's a few things that happened during this era. We have to mention it, and I know Nathan loves to talk about it. There's the whole Primavera performance in Barcelona, in Spain, where they were playing a show out there, and he decided to drink a ton and do some ecstasy, pop some Xannies, something else maybe.
He had a little, I think there was Valium.
Valium, yeah, as well, all of it. And he had an argument on stage with the drummer, and the drummer was pissed off because it's like, you're not even finishing songs, and I think he poured a glass of beer over Nathan's head and then walked off the stage. Yeah. And then Nathan continued to just harass everyone, including the audience.
He was dissing the Barcelona audience, and he was yelling at his drummer, get back on stage, we're not done. Yeah. And he's just high as a kite. He said he doesn't remember it.
Yeah, meltdown is kind of how people have described that event.
And that time. It was not a good situation. It might be even a little bit blown out of proportion, some events are, but it was certainly substantial because they were on a huge European tour, and it ended up getting canceled very early on.
After that, Nathan decided to cancel it himself, I think, the tour. And then as they were leaving that night, I think the guy from the record label was with him, and he was like, the record label's going to drop you now.
You just ruined your career.
Yeah. And I think Ryan was the original drummer, and he left at that point as well. So he got dropped from his label, canceled the rest of the tour. The drummer left, and he went back home at that point, I think, to be with his parents for a little bit. And then, didn't give up though. Still, I think he basically spent a lot of time writing material for this album, and
this was right before King of the Beach, I think, or was after that was released. I'm not sure.
I think it was this time because the Primavera thing happened in 2009, and King of the Beach was 2010.
So maybe right before this.
Yeah, and and so he, but. Yeah, well, actually, he might have not been dropped by the label when he did the album. I think he might have started touring it or something, because he did. There was a change in he was able to use a really good studio for this album. And have a producer involved. And what he said about that is that's where he talked about his early albums sounding trash canny, tinny, because he didn't want that. He basically said he wanted this to be his Nevermind album, meaning. The Nevermind album's just really well produced. It's got a big sound to it, and he wanted that type of good, well-rounded sound to this album kind of thing, which he achieved, I think.
Yeah, and if you listen to those first two albums, then you listen to King of the Beach, it's pretty stark. Yeah. So this is there's good dynamics. It's punk, it's pop punk, it's skate punk, it's visceral. The music, it's pristine. The production. Yeah. The hooks stand out, then they're more crisp and clear. It's like post-punk Beach Boys. But the whole album it's much more clear, and it's more of a studio album than a lo-fi bedroom beach rock album.
Yeah, for sure.
And so so he was definitely part of this label, I think, which hooked him up with Dennis Herring, which is a pretty huge Grammy-winning producer, and I think he works out of Oxford, Mississippi, which is where they recorded that album. Right. So pretty cool. Dennis Herring, he's a Grammy-winning producer. He worked with Jars of Clay. Yeah. Who have you heard of? They're kind of a Christian band.
No.
But they were pretty big in my life, in my family. Yeah. Played them a lot, and they got some really good stuff. Yeah. But Herring has worked with Counting Crows, Mute Math, Modest Mouse, The Hives. Yeah. So he has some serious credentials. Yeah. Which is cool, and I think he really helped bring this album to life. And
definitely, yeah. I know. You also think he had a lot of conversations, or he said arguments with the producer because he wanted to drown his vocals in reverb and stuff like that. And the producer really sort of said, no, let's try and work to bring them out a little bit more, kind of thing. So
Which is cool. I mean, yeah, again, he's kind of insecure and stuff, and he wants to bury those vocals. So I don't mean to just call him insecure, but like based on what he's talking about in the lyrics and stuff and what I've seen in interviews, like he's, sometimes scared or insecure, just like we all are. He's obviously being very productive.
Yeah.
Compared to a lot of people. So
yeah, I know a lot of people that are starting to sing or starting to record their vocals on there and, not comfortable with it. So you like disguise it or you pitch it up, something like that. And
there's no right or wrong answer, which is the subjective artistic thing, which, endless variations of ways you can mix that album,
Exactly.
It could have turned out a lot of different ways, but it turned out really cool. So really cool stuff on this album.
It also takes like a turn, I felt, because like the first half of it is really like driving rock music, and then it gets this track Baseball Cards, and it sort of like goes a little bit softer or electronic in a certain way.
Yeah, totally.
There's that track Convertible Balloon, which is kind of almost poppy sounding. Like, and it does that for like a few tracks, and then it sort of ends back on the hard hitting kind of sound.
Yeah, exactly. There's some electronic influence on some of these tracks throughout this album, and some of them don't hit that well for me. As far as the album goes, I think it's a pretty great album in general, but I think it could have been a little bit stronger, and some of those things take a little bit of the energy out, take out some of the momentum,
puts it in a sort of different direction than what he's been going.
Which is fine. I mean, it was a huge success. Essentially, is what I'm saying. But we're trying to point out some of the critiques, or our opinions here on Roots to Grooves.
Yeah, for sure.
Which is cool. So I mean, I don't know. That's a great album. I would posit to say start with this album if you're gonna get into Wavves for the first time, because it's really fun.
Yeah.
Really cool stuff. Cool hooks. It's pretty crisp and clean and really energetic. So
yeah,
I think it was a big move for him. And then
lineup changes as well at this time, I think.
Right.
He was joined by Billy Hayes and Stephen Pope. But then Billy Hayes left, I think, up when the album was completed, and was replaced by Jacob Cooper on the drums. So, third drummer by the time he came out with this album.
Yeah, already a third drummer. And I think Pope was, he was in the band of, I don't know, I don't want to say just off the top of my head, but I think his name was Jay Retard, a band.
Okay.
Which is,
what are you saying? No, I'm just just like scrolling through my notes. No.
So interesting name, but I think eventually at some point it was the drummer and the bassist, which was basically the band for Jay Retard, and he kind of took them over.
Got it.
And I don't have the names right in front of me, but like you said, Pope and the other guy,
Jacob Cooper. Yeah, he ended up leaving in 2013 as well. But for this album, he wasn't on the album, but I think he was on the next album, possibly. So yeah.
So I mean, one way or another. Yeah. But no, we're just here to learn. We're just researching this.
Yeah.
This week. So I like this band and this group, but we don't have we're not encyclopedias, are we, Jay?
No.
We're just riding off the seat of our pants. We're on the edge of our seat.
Yeah.
So then, I mean, let's move on. And so his progression is getting more progressive.
Yeah.
And we can talk about Afraid of Heights.
Yeah.
If you are down, that came out in 2013, mixed by John Hill at Sonar Studios in Los Angeles. And so this album it's pretty big. Even it's more alternative. Yeah. It's a big production.
Yeah.
It's crispy and clean, but it's very dark and distorted.
Yeah. A lot of the Nirvana vibes on this.
Yeah, totally.
Tracks.
Those heavy alternative grunge vibes.
Yeah.
It's not as beachy as like King of the Beach, but it is pretty energetic, and that's where we played that song Sail to the Sun is good. Then Demon to Lean On was a pretty big single, and I heard that on like 107.7 here in Seattle.
Oh yeah.
And they played Marymore Park. I saw them play at Neptune.
Oh,
it was around this time after this.
Okay. Yeah.
This album.
Yeah.
What do you call it?
Released.
Yeah, this release time. Or what do you call it? Syndicate or like album circuit or release? What, I don't know what I'm talking about.
Promotional tour or something.
Yeah. Whatever. But during that time, so I saw them and they were cool. And it was a really good show, by the way. But this album is really cool. So it's the same ethos as he comes from with the kind of vibe that he's built around his beachy, grungy, punky sound.
Yeah.
But it's pretty in tune with Nathan's emotions and his self-deprecation and his insecurities.
Yeah.
The songwriting is pretty similar. The lyrics they're sometimes kind of shallow, you know, because he's just saying stuff right off the cuff. Like, right, he's wearing his heart on his sleeve. He's just saying these words like I'm stupid, my friends hate me. You know, it's like, maybe, I don't know, maybe you don't want to listen to that, but he's saying it anyway, and it's energetic and it's emotionally packed.
I know it does resonate with a lot of his fans, though. Like he said, he's been at shows where people have come up to him and literally said, "Oh, I thought about killing myself, but then I listened to your music, and it saved me." And he was like, "Whoa, okay."
Yeah.
Like, you know, so it's having a positive impact, even though maybe it's kind of like people were like, "Oh yeah, that's how I feel," kind of thing. So even though it could sound a bit depressing or whatever to some
a little
people,
negative
to other people, it's sort of like, "Oh yeah, he understands where I'm coming from," kind of thing.
Totally. And I think that's a thing that he brings to the table that's really cool. He's not afraid to say these kind of dark ideas, because we all feel these feelings of insecurity or being scared about the next stage in life, or things changing, or who am I? What am I supposed to be doing? What's my path? What's my purpose? And I think he kind of hits that on the head, and he's, you know, right out in the open and says it.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's kind of a cool thing to do. So I support him for it, even though some of it sounds negative, but the production is great. It's clean, and the album rocks pretty hard.
Yeah, definitely a good 90s vibe for me, you know. If you're in the 90s and you're listening to a lot of grunge music, I would say even late 90s post Nirvana, like, you'll really like this album, I think.
Yeah, 100%.
And I think it sounds like there might be some ice cream outside.
Should we run out?
Yeah.
Do you have your wallet?
Do you have? I got a £5 note. Yeah. Oh shit, that's £5.
We just hang out the window.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, come to Signl 355 is the code.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's play a track off this if you don't mind.
From the Afraid of Heights.
Yeah.
Demon to Lean On.
Yeah, it's so good. It's a nice poppy grunge song. You can hear it on like a poppy alternative station.
Yeah.
But it's guitars, bass, and drum and vocals, and it's got really cool energy, and it's really succinct and, you know, kind of poignant with what it's trying to do and how much energy it packs.
Cool.
Coming into the chorus, and I think it's a great track. It's really fun. Let's hit it.
You and I pace along the grass and think of what we had, ambivalent and young, but probably just dumb. The truth is that it hurts, and what's it really worth? No hope and no future, holding a gun to my head. So send me an angel, or bury me deeply instead, with demons to lean on. In the sky, it's never coming back. No hope and no future. We'll die the same loser.
Love me some feedback. I mean, what a good track.
Yeah,
I just think it's really energetic, and it's just super tight, and it doesn't vary too much. It's not trying to do too much.
Yeah.
It's a pretty simple track, but it hits hard and it's heavy.
Yeah.
And it's really cool. The dichotomy of what he's talking about with the angels and demons, that dynamic.
Yeah.
And then, holding a gun to my head, it's pretty emotionally packed.
Yeah.
And it hits pretty hard, and it's a good single.
Yeah.
I think they released that, and it was pushed probably the most out of all those songs. But my favorite song off that album is probably the first track we played at the beginning of the podcast, Sail to the Sun.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, definitely nostalgic feeling for me, even though it was 2013. Some of those production techniques in there as well, like the way the guitars kick in at a certain point.
Yeah.
Reminds me a lot of Nirvana when they just before they were about to kick into a chorus, and then it would go.
Yeah, you just hear it grow, and you feel that energy, and So I mean, I love it. I think they killed it. I think they worked for a year on this album, and that was longer than they've ever worked on an album.
Yeah,
or Nathan has specifically.
And they performed that song on The Late Show with David Letterman, their first performance as well.
Nice.
So I got.
Oh, I was going to say I thought it was Conan.
I have David Letterman here.
Okay, sure. I bet you're right.
Maybe he did that as well.
I'll bet my bottom dollar. But yeah, so I mean, they kind of achieved some mainstream success.
Yeah.
I think this album charted, on Billboard alternative rock.
Well, so it was. I forgot to say, King of the Beach was the first album that he put out under his own label, Ghost Ramp.
Okay, cool.
He used that name. So this is the second album on that label. But this time, I think they got distribution through Warner Brothers. So
a huge label.
Huge backing there. That's probably how they got those late show performances and that extra push that you sometimes need.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
So I think it was a success.
Yeah.
Awesome. That's where I discovered Wavves.
Yeah.
And then I started exploring King of the Beach, and I went backwards. And this was before they'd released stuff after 2013 when I was first discovering it. So then I kind of followed along through their later albums and more good stuff.
Yeah.
So I mean, we could wrap up that Afraid of Heights, great album. I would start there or start at King of the Beach, like I said.
Yeah.
After that, he did in whatever time period. 2014 to 2015, he released 9 is God, and that was for Grand Theft Auto.
Okay.
Which is pretty cool.
Is it an EP or a song?
I think it was a single that they wrote specifically for Grand Theft Auto that was featured on there, which is a cool track.
Yeah.
And I think it drags along at the end a little bit for me.
Okay.
But the first half of it is really cool and really vibey for me. Just classic, cool wave stuff.
Yeah.
A little bit of a progression from where they were on Afraid of Heights. But I don't know. It's cool. It just drags along a little bit, repeating at the end for me, and that's fine. Whatever.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to be a hater. But then I guess they also did a compilation album with the Cloud Nothings.
Yeah, I think actually that was original stuff. Collaboration between Nathan and Dylan Baldy of Cloud Nothings. Who I haven't heard of Cloud Nothings. Have you?
No, just besides knowing him from Wavves.
Yeah, so they released that album in the same year, 2015, as their fourth album, which I think is called 4, or is it V, or is V as in the Roman numeral?
No, I mean, there was V.
Yeah.
5.
Oh, 5. Sorry.
I guess that would be, the 5th album.
I know my Roman numerals very well.
5, V. His album V.
So 2 in that year. But the Wavves and Cloud Nothings collaboration actually is a really good album. As I was researching for this was becoming kind of a more standout album for me from Wavves.
Nice.
Obviously it's different. I think you can hear that, that collaboration really come through there. I would say, I said it's more edgier sounding in production quality than V. And even the most recent album. So, which is funny to say, because I know there's been some really hard stuff on his previous albums, but it was just something about it was edgier in some way to me.
Yeah, no, totally.
Yeah.
It's cool. It's cool to see him working with other people, to see how his influence affects with the other band, how it's incorporated and how it mixes to form something new.
Yeah.
Because obviously some of his stuff is incredibly indulgent, and he doesn't care about how it's going to be perceived. He's just, I'm going to do what I want, whether it's this tin can, trashy, lo-fi, bedroom, beach pop.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's cool. That is a great album, and I would definitely.
Yeah.
Maybe we don't have to play something off that album, but I would definitely recommend checking it out. It's good.
Yeah. Definitely.
And then I guess while we're on collaborations, he has another couple projects, I think, with his brother. And I don't know if I can. It's Sweet. It's not Sweet Water. Sweet Hill.
Sugar Hill?
No. But he has a couple other projects, and I don't know. Dang, I should have pulled them up.
Is it, what kind of music is it? Similar, or is it changed?
It's similar, but one of them is a little bit more electronic indie.
Yeah.
Kind of. I don't know if you can look at them up real quick.
Yeah.
Because I would feel bad not talking about them, because I checked out his other projects, I think with his brother, and then I think he has another project which I can't remember the name of with his other brother or something like that.
He has a lot of musical family, then it appears.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And I don't know. I shouldn't even bring stuff up when I don't know, when I don't have enough information to actually say something of any value. But just throwing it out there that he has these other projects and they're really cool. And I took some time years ago to go through it because I was surprised. I was like, oh, I didn't know he did this, and it was cool. And it's different from Wavves, but it has that Nathan Williams kind of punky vibe still.
Yeah.
Which is cool. So
damn, I can't really easily see his collaborations here.
Yeah,
on Spotify at least.
Yeah,
but
no worries. We don't have to talk about it. But that's kind of how underground they are.
Yeah,
is they're not super huge,
right?
But it's great music.
Yeah,
and I don't know what their marketing strategy or what they're actually, how much they care about those projects or how much they're invested.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying he has some other outside projects that are really good.
Yeah.
So it's interesting seeing how his image is like a punk, lazy, live at your your parents' house, kind of, addicted to drugs kind of guy. But and they said this in interviews, like it's not fair. Like you can call them punks, call them names, whatever you want, but they're not lazy.
Right.
Like they're putting out a lot of stuff, and in the meantime they're touring a lot.
Well, there was a really interesting interview with Nathan on Noisy on YouTube, where I guess it's the series they do where they have like a therapist doing the interview kind of thing.
I think I might have seen that.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's like a therapy session. It's like 15 minutes long with this guy, and they really kind of get into it a little bit. And some interesting things that came out of that is the therapist was like, oh, his religious upbringing makes sense because there's a lot of like a religious symbolism in your lyrics, and he hadn't even thought about it until the interviewer kind of said it.
Yeah,
and he was like, oh, I guess there is, like, and like,
he didn't even realize.
I guess he's subconsciously doing it. And the other part that was interesting from this interview as well was like, even though he has all these insecurities and things about being worthy or whatever and stuff like that,
right.
He said, but the guy was like, well, but what you've actually done is you've actually got through those bad times and you're actually persevering with like positive things, like you're making this music which resonates a lot with people. The most recent thing he's done is he's opened up this a shop in LA called Ghost Ramp as well, where he said it's basically like a place mostly for like the youth to hang out in, and have like a sense of culture kind of thing, and a place to be and mingle with other people kind of thing. So he's sort of giving back to the community in that way. So it's like he has a lot of perseverance to keep doing these things and create these things, right? And it's even though he might not really think about that as a thing, it's manifesting kind of thing through his actions.
So I think he has a lot of good energy. And he wants to help himself and he wants to help other people. Like back when he was the crazy drug time in San Diego when he was involved in that, and he took himself out of the equation and moved to Portland. Like he wants to be healthier, and he wants to be, present and around. He's not just completely deprecating. He's not just shooting himself in the foot constantly. He's wild, and he's just trying to figure stuff out.
Yeah.
But he does have positive energy. Yeah. So like he opened that Ghost Ramp store. I think it was a record store.
Yeah, I think it's many things. I think they sell records and merch, and
there's arcade games.
Arcade games, yeah.
So and like you said, just for people who don't know where to go or need some friends or need a place to hang out.
Yeah.
Just a little community center kind of thing.
It's kind of like, I guess, how like skate shops have been that for a lot of people kind of thing. And, I can't think of too many other places like that. I mean, I haven't really experienced that sort of inner city American life, but I know it's sort of become more of a thing. Like Nipsey Hussle did that as well, I think, with some of his shops. Like they became more of like cultural sort of centers for people to connect at, kind of thing.
Right. Which is cool.
Yeah, which is really great way of doing things. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so he's building a community, whether he knows it or not.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of positive stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess we can just kind of skip through. So like 5, his album.
Yeah.
It's spelled in a V, Roman numeral 5. 5th album, 2015.
Yeah.
This one was a little bit more of a band album than some of the other works.
Yeah.
It's loud, it's hard hitting, it's fast, it's tight. It's still kind of grungy guitars with that kind of lazy, whiny vocals from Nathan.
Reminds me a bit more of Green Day, some of these tracks.
Yeah. Especially kind of the later half of Green Day's life.
Yeah.
And, they've always been kind of been like that. But yeah, Green Day has some like American Idiot and Onwards, which is good stuff. I always wanted to get American Idiot, but I wasn't allowed to buy that album.
Oh, really?
My parents said no.
Didn't they end up doing a musical based off of that or something?
I don't know. Did they?
I think so, yeah. Like a stage musical called American Idiot or something.
That's kind of awesome.
Yeah. Based on songs from that album.
Okay. No, I did not know that. That sounds great, though. I would love to see that. Yeah. I don't know if we'll get a chance.
Yeah.
Hopefully. Yeah. But yeah, the album's 5 is tight. It's precise. It's almost over-compressed. It's very kind of flat.
Yeah.
And sometimes kind of not exciting as far as the production dynamics go. And it's fine. It's great. It's they explored a new way of doing things, kind of working with the band and stuff. And I don't know, my heart isn't super about this album.
Yeah.
I'm more like a King of the Beach and Afraid of Heights.
Yeah, it's funny because even with me not really knowing anything about them, 5 was the one that I sort of glossed over. It didn't stand out as much to me as the others that preceded it. And
for sure.
And what's the opposite of preceding?
Post-seed?
Yeah, something like that.
Go after?
Yeah. I was trying to...
I don't know.
I was going to say preceded and, the other thing after.
Interesting. Okay. Well, that would have been our vocab word for the podcast, but we don't know the word.
Yeah.
If you guys know the word we're thinking of...
We should create a glossary of weird words and things that we've said.
No, I was thinking that.
Put it on the site or something like that. Yeah.
For sure. One thing that came up in my research was nom de plume.
What's that mean? Nom de plume?
Yeah, I think I've heard it before.
Sounds
but
French or something.
Yeah, it probably is.
Yeah.
Nom de plume, but it basically means like a pen name. Like your alter ego or whatever pen name,
Right, yeah.
But cool way to...
I like that.
Cool phrase.
So instead of a pseudonym, this is my nom de plume.
Yeah, pseudonym. Yeah. Oh, well, my nom de plume. Look.
Or maybe you only use that if you're writing poetry anonymously. I don't know. That's what it sounds like.
Yeah.
It's kind of fancy.
Yeah, exactly. It sounds fancy, but it's essentially whatever you just said. So yeah, I don't know. 5 is good. I think it was kind of during this phase. I don't know exactly when it was, or even if it was earlier than Afraid of Heights. But at some point he wanted to quit music because he didn't know if it was working, if he should do it, or why he should do it, or what's the point. He's based on his lyrics, this is what he's thinking about and stuff.
Was it a burnout thing? Because I've heard this a lot with artists at a certain point after years and years of working hard at it. You hit that point where it's just kind of like, ugh. It's just a lot. Is it worth it anymore? Kind of thing.
Yeah, like what am I building?
Yeah.
Is it worth it? Because I mean, these guys were working hard, regardless of their image about being lazy, beach bum punks.
Right.
And so, I mean, I think he was gonna quit, and wondering if it was worth it and stuff. And he went to his parents, and they had a talk, and his dad convinced him to keep going and keep doing the music thing and keep exploring that.
Yeah.
And I don't know what they said. I didn't get any more details than that.
Yeah.
It would have been a pretty cool conversation to hear, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But his dad convinced him to keep going, which is interesting because I think about, his dad listening to the music, and Nathan's talking about, I got a gun to my head.
Right.
My friends hate me. Just some of his lyrics.
Maybe, I don't know, I'm just talking off the top of my head, but maybe his parents realized the value of music has played in his life.
Yeah.
Because that was the other thing that came out of that strange therapy interview as well, is that probably if he didn't have the music, then the drugs would have maybe taken a greater hold on him and
100%
his life. But because he found music and found an outlet to do that stuff, it was therapy for him, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So maybe, I don't know, maybe his parents realized that as well. Like if he hadn't have been doing this, he could have gone further down the rabbit hole.
Yeah, I can't imagine how his parents must have been feeling. Or still, seeing these interviews where he's like, "Oh, I was addicted to heroin, and I lived in a squatter's house,
Right,
and
exactly.
I was stealing jeans, and I mean, what a weird, the world's weird in general. Everyone's doing weird stuff, and but as far as we're talking about, Nathan's been around the block doing funny things."
And so I guess that's when he started writing material then for You're Welcome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so he kept on.
Yeah, and went back to the little shed behind his parents' house where he wrote and recorded some of his earlier stuff. I think that's where he holed himself up writing material for You're Welcome. And I think he said he got eventually got a demo of 60 songs.
Yeah, he just started
process.
just him writing ideas, right? Coming up with demos, coming up with ideas, and amazing. 60 songs, that's a lot.
Yeah, he said, I kind of jumped around genres, and there were a few production tricks. He wanted to do something different. He wanted to avoid making another pop punk or garage record. That's kind of what he said about this stuff. Then I think he got the band members involved again, showed them the demos, and then the album was also produced by a guy called David Sitek from TV on the Radio.
Nice.
Kind of heard of TV on the Radio a little bit. I like some of their songs, but I haven't really doved too deep into their stuff. But I like TV on the Radio.
Nice. I haven't heard the name. That's cool.
Yeah.
But I mean, You're Welcome came out 2017. I saw that he worked on most of the material all by himself on this one. At least maybe I'm just talking about those demos. So maybe he brought the band in after he had those demos is what I think we're agreeing on that.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, he probably worked very closely with David Sitek on the production.
Right. So it's another pretty clean record. Some of it goes from glam rock, even psychedelia and surf. And there's 50s doo-wop kind of vibes. Yeah. And, even some chiptune or electronica mixed in. So he's still exploring what he's able to come up with.
Yeah.
And I think he hit the mark, and it's pretty cool. It's a pretty interesting listen because he's going from this kind of, this rock and this kind of grunge to, revisiting some older stuff like from the 50s. Some of it, there's one song that sounds almost like a carnival sound kind of vibe.
Yeah, it's sort of not all the way through, but there's little intros or whatever, or interludes that have this kind of 50, kind of a little bit like what's happening outside right now. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. I don't, like I said, it sounds like an ice cream truck.
I think it's.
I'm not sure.
I think it's a violinist on the street, maybe, or something.
Okay,
like that. Yeah.
I don't know. There might be the first Mariners game of the season going on. I don't know. I saw some Mariners folks out there.
Something's happening down
Something's
here.
happening, and it's getting wild.
This is the most lively we've seen this area of downtown.
It's been dead.
Yeah,
which is cool. Yeah, which is exciting. So
Also, I was going to say, I think this album includes his first ever love song.
The final track you're talking about.
Yeah, I think. Well, he said about that. It's called "I Love You." It's the last track. I think he said like he's always kind of avoided writing a love song, so he did it now, and he was just like, well, I'm just going to be explicit about it and just like, oh, I love you. That's going to be the
Like just on the nose. I don't have to be all metaphoric.
Yeah, exactly.
Or anything like I'm going to write a love song and I'm going to call it I Love You.
Yeah, just there you go. So I think that was
Which
the
is
first time he said that.
Yeah, with some new territory for him because he doesn't usually.
Yeah.
We haven't been talking about what his lyrics about love and stuff. But one thing we haven't talked about is the band Best Coast.
Where have I heard that name?
I mean,
I found out about it in a weird way, but carry on.
Okay, interesting. I'm excited to know what you have.
Well, I went to his cat's official Twitter page, and it has 8,000 followers, but he's only following one.
Nathan Williams, Cats.
Yeah, his cat.
Okay,
I forget his cat's name, but his cat hasn't tweeted since 2014, so I don't know. But yeah, this account's only following one other account, and it's Best Coast.
Oh, okay. So I mean, so they were boyfriend girlfriend.
Okay.
I can't remember her name. She's like a solo.
Right.
She's like the main person in her own band.
Okay.
Main songwriter and vocalist and guitarist, I think. Mm-hmm. And she's got like a following. I think she's played on some late night shows.
Right.
And she's also based out of the same San Diego or Los Angeles area.
Yeah.
And that's cool. And she's good. And so they've kind of been off and on. And she's, as far as I can see through all these interviews, and they kind of go, they're dating, then they break up. They're dating for a while, they break up. But it's been like 3 or 4 times as far as my research went.
Yeah.
And I don't have the specific dates or anything, but they're kind of off and on throughout these years. And she's kind of like his muse in a way. And a lot of these albums are kind of talking about, the breakup, obviously not the lovey-dovey, everything's happy and good.
Yeah.
He tends to focus on the more negative things, at least in his lyrics.
Yeah.
But I think this guy has a lot of love in his heart. I don't want to keep painting him to be like just a 100% depressed person. I think he's smart.
Yeah.
And he has a lot of creative talent.
Absolutely. Yeah. Driven,
Yeah, he's putting in a lot of effort.
He's really funny as well, actually. Like I've seen some, like if you go on YouTube and try and watch interviews of him, a lot of them are just quirky and weird and funny. And
because he doesn't take anything seriously.
Yeah. There's this one, it's on the official Wavves channel, I think, with this older guy interviewing him. It's the most hilarious shit I've ever seen.
I think I saw that too, just last night, and I'd never seen that either.
Like, they must have done it on purpose. Just go watch it, everyone. It's funny.
Yeah, I should have written down the notes of what that video was called.
Yeah.
But just search Wavves interviews, and it's one of the ones that pops up because it is hilarious.
Because it's almost like, because it's on their official account, I feel like they did it on purpose to kind of, and it's almost like he's not afraid to make fun of himself.
Yeah.
Because people always bring up the Primavera thing. And they kind of made fun of that in this interview as well, kind of thing. So,
yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
And this older gentleman, and he's like 60 or 70.
He doesn't know anything. He was like, so your album, Afraid of the Beach.
Yeah, Afraid of the Beach.
Yeah. And he was like, do you play an instrument? And he was like, how do you not know?
Yeah, he's calling out, so do you play air guitar? Like when you're up there? Like it's pre-recorded and you're playing air guitar? And he's like, no, he's like, you really play an instrument.
Yeah, and this album's like, it's all you? It's your music?
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, it's hilarious and it's off the cuff, and I don't know. Yeah, it was satirical.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
and planned. I think.
I want to kind of see more. I want that guy to do a series of like.
Well, I was wondering, does he do
interviews? I don't know. I have to research.
I was in the zone, so I was like, I don't have time to go on a sidescape right now or whatever.
Yeah, I don't know.
But hilarious.
Yeah,
we'll put it up on the YouTube. We'll try to link it up.
Yeah, we'll link it up. Yeah,
because it's fun to watch no matter what, whether you like this guy's music or not.
Yeah,
it's pretty hilarious. So yeah, that's your Welcome 2017.
Yeah,
it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then that's basically the last LP that's been released, and that's 3-4 years ago.
Yeah.
And since then, he has one single, and I think there were some rumors that he's been working on stuff that was supposed to come out in 2020 or 2021.
I think, or I might have seen. Oh, I think I was a different artist.
Oh, that's the next one.
I was
going to
say 2019. There was an announcement, but I think that was a different artist I'm talking about. So, yeah.
I think he might have some more material, but to say the least, he released a song. I think it was 2021, and My Bad, Sinking Feeling.
Okay.
Which is a single release. It came out I don't know when, but in 2021.
Yeah.
So I think he's still working on stuff. I think there's another album in the works.
Yeah.
And I bet that's going to come out later this year or early next year, 2022. But that's just my general vibe. I don't have any sources on that.
No sources. He's
At this moment?
hiding out right now.
Yeah.
And working on music, hopefully.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
And I mean, that basically brings us up to date with this guy, Wavves. It's beach rock, it's grungy. He's got some lo-fi stuff. He's got some glam rock, some 50s doo-wop.
Big nostalgic vibe for me in terms of 90s grunge rock stuff. If you're into that stuff, this is a good kind of a celebration of that type of music, but building on top of it, I think.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's basically all I got on this guy. I would start with King of the Beach
Yeah.
or Afraid of Heights.
Yeah.
If you're looking for something a little more wacky, go King of the Beach. If you're looking for something more 90s nostalgia, but in a cool new way, Afraid of Heights.
And I would also say Spin the Cloud Nothings collaboration. I really like that album as well.
100%.
So, yeah. And I guess the only one thing I wanted to say is this name Wavves. Basically, he called him that because he was living with a friend somewhere near the ocean, and he's always been scared of the ocean.
Right. So this guy's all about beach vibes.
Yeah.
You know, living in San Diego and stuff. But he doesn't surf.
I've never been to San Diego. Is it? I know it's like a big city, but is it more of a beachy type city or not really? Like,
It's pretty beachy.
okay.
I mean, yeah, once you get close to the coast,
Yeah.
it's you know, kind of Hawaiian kind of vibes.
Nice.
Kind of beach vibes, some breweries on the,
Yeah.
you know, right kind of on the beach.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, it's fun. It's great.
I got to go check it out.
Yeah, we should definitely go down there sometime, dude. We got to make a trip.
Yeah. Do some sunshine. I can do that.
We need some vitamin D.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm down. I got some family down there, so we already got a place to stay.
Nice. There you go.
You got anything else on this guy?
No.
Wavves, Nathan Williams.
Nathan Williams. Yep. Ghost Ramp. Go if you're in LA. Go. Or I don't know with COVID and that they might be opening up again soon, or whether they're still.
Yeah.
I don't know. But
Yeah, I bet they are.
But yeah, or especially if you're young or know someone that's young, needs a place to connect with people. It sounds like a good place.
Yeah, I would love to check it out.
Yeah.
Pick up one of the albums. I think they have all the albums on vinyls for sale there,
Yeah.
which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I mean this band is cool. It's dynamic. I don't personally like every single track.
No.
But some of the tracks I really love.
But some dependable, good driving songs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say Afraid of Heights is a good, dependable one for that. Just, you know,
Yeah.
all the way through kind of thing. Even King of the Beach a little bit.
Yeah. 100%.
But yeah, cool. Should we play out on something from You're Welcome or something else? One of your other favorites.
Well, you put some on that list. Play something and surprise me.
Okay, well, I'm just gonna do it. Then I'm gonna play a little bit from the Cloud Nothings thing.
Okay, that sounds good. I mean, and we're out, right? This is it.
And we're out. This is it. Thanks for listening, everyone.
Yeah, it's been Roots to Grooves. This is I'm Jesse.
I'm Jay.
If you guys got any cool stories about Wavves or any other information, anything at all, hit us up. We want to know what you think.
Yeah.
What's that email, Jay?
roots2grooves@signalradio.com. That's SIGNL radio.com.
Boom.
And we'll catch you next time.
Peace out, guys. Thank you.
You say it's nothing, you feel alright. There's something wrong creeping into your life. You cannot say it, you cannot fight. There's something wrong creeping into your life. The world around you is barely there. There's something wrong creeping into your life. You do not notice, you do not care. There's something wrong creeping into your life. Sometimes you'll find nothing ever comes down, nothing ever comes down. Sometimes you'll find nothing ever comes down, nothing ever comes down. Sometimes you'll find nothing ever comes down, nothing ever comes down. Sometimes you'll find nothing ever comes down, nothing ever comes down. nothing ever comes down, nothing ever comes down. Sometimes you'll find nothing ever comes down, nothing ever comes down. Sometimes you'll find nothing ever comes down, nothing ever comes down. Sometimes you'll find nothing ever comes down, nothing ever comes down. Sometimes you'll find nothing ever comes down, nothing ever comes down. There's something wrong creeping into your life. There's something wrong creeping into your life.
Roots to Grooves is a production of Signl Radio. For more music and independent culture, visit signalradio.com. That's signl radio.com.